Hi, I'm Arlene, host of the television talk show Ask Arlene, which airs on Thursdays at 6:30. And as a business consultant and life coach, I help you to move forward in your business, project, or endeavor. So if you always wanted to write a book, but you just haven't seemed to get started, or you always wanted to 10x that business that you already have, expand it to the next level, you know exactly what you need to do, but you just haven't done it? Well, I've already purchased all the courses, read all the books, including a master's degree and credits toward a doctorate. I've sat with and met celebrities and done the networking. And what I realized is what I really needed was a mastermind group of people working toward my project, my business, or my endeavor. So what I've done is met with coaches and met with experts and put them together to work on your project. So join us today for our mastermind networking group. I'll see you there. Click the link below and join us.
Show. We are so excited to have you on the show today because we have a special guest, a woman that I admire greatly and have been following for several years. Her name is Wanda Lee Fleurstein, and as usual, I am bringing to you a top-rated author. She is an author extraordinaire, so she has written 2 books. But guys, I am not going to delay. Welcome, Wanda. Welcome.
Hello, Arlene. Thank you so much for having me. Happy to be here
50
today.
Years of Assimilation is the title of your book. I'm so
hmm
excited, and I know many of my listeners are here, and we're also excited. The title of this show that I'm sharing with you today is Are We Living the Dream? Dr. Martin Luther King's Dream. Many of us are, and not just talking about it. So you are here. First of all, tell us who you are so that they know why they're listening to you, because you have an amazing background. You live here in the wonderful place of California. Woohoo! Yes.
Woohoo.
Tell us a little bit about your background.
Starting with California, I don't know. My background is long. I've been on the planet for a minute,
Okay, tell
but
us
my
how you
name is
came to. Yes, go ahead.
my name is Wanda Lee Florstein, and I wear many hats, and I am an author and founder to write about all those hats. I'm a 30-year career HR professional in corporate America and small business America. And I am a mother of 2 wonderful young adults that are have taken off, as they say, they've taken flight.
Yeah.
And I live in the Bay Area, California currently, but born and raised in the great city of Detroit, Michigan.
Beautiful, beautiful. And your business, tell us the name of your business.
It is called Flow Up Productions, and Flow became kind of like a take on my initials, but reversed. And I had to add the O in there so that we can flow up and show up so we can grow up and flow up.
And of course, because you're here in the wonderful state of California, you do a lot of good work when it comes to environmental energy and helping us to be more efficient. And so we're very excited about the work that you're doing with that as well. Now,
Yeah.
specifically, talk to us about this book, 50 Years of Assimilation. What is it, and why is it that you wrote this book at this time?
It's an older book. I It is my dream report to Dr. King. I was am of the generation of post-civil rights generation, the first to inherit Dr. King's dream of integration. And I wanted to share with him how his dream played out in my life specifically. And I used my life as the roadmap and integrated, pun intended, integrated the historical pieces that align with what was currently happening in the society of America. And so it takes you on a decade by decade journey, from Detroit, Michigan to the multicultural area of the Bay Area, San Francisco.
Okay. So how does this book, 50 Years of Assimilation, considering you said you did write it a little while ago, how does it relate to what's happening now and what we see going on? And how is it timely?
Well, it's timely because thankfully there are some people in the world that don't want to have Black folks be, and people of color, to have equal rights and equal access in this country. And there was lessons that are in the book that people can learn about others, in order to hopefully bridge some of these racial gaps that we seem to be addicted to. Right. And so I strongly believe that hearing another story and hearing their perspective is the gateway to that bridging of the gaps. So,
Now, that's so
um,
interesting. You
mhm.
say bridging the gap as if there's a gap to be bridged, because many of us, not just people of other colors, but even people of color, believe at this juncture that we've had the wonderful President Barack Obama, even young people, and now we have somebody else in power, and there really is no gap to bridge because we had a woman of color who ran for president, and so we're moving forward and we're grooving. You have a business, a thriving business. Your kids are doing well. What are you talking about, Wanda? Why is this relevant? We're all entrepreneurs. We're business owners. We're moving and grooving. Why is this relevant?
It's because it's
Yeah.
still not for everyone, and everyone isn't invited in. And there are social barriers, there are political barriers, there are financial barriers that are in play all across the country, and in play for reducing our civil and human rights in this country. And so yeah, there's some of us who have managed to, navigate through the cracks, that were, unintentionally in some cases and intentionally made for us to come through, but there's still wall builders that are trying to block and, keep us out.
So, what is some research that you did in putting together this book that made you come to this conclusion that there were gaps and things that were relevant that needed to be addressed?
Life experience, first and
Okay, give us
foremost.
an example.
Wanda was chemically burned in a swimming pool, by a lifeguard who decided that after everyone exited, because I came in, that it needed to be cleaned right in that moment while I was swimming, and poured chlorine into the pool, at that time. So that's one example.
Here in California?
That happened here in California, Stockton, California, to be exact. At that time when I arrived here. That's just an example. There's other, I could go down the list of, that wasn't the first pool that I cleared. There's been a total of three. One was with my family, in the state of Iowa, on a road trip once at a hotel, that we were all together. And as soon as we came in, different people from different corners of the pool decided to leave, like right in that moment. Could have been a coincidence, maybe nothing to do with us, but the feeling that was in the air and the way that it happened. Yeah, I've been around a minute, so you kind of know.
Wow. I remember hearing the story of Eartha Kitt, who, played Spider Woman,
Catwoman.
Catwoman, right, right,
Hmm.
and also
Hmm.
was in Boomerang. But
Hmm.
she tells us the story of her going to a pool. She was a celebrity, and them clearing the pool. But this was way back. This is
Hmm.
not in our time or our day and age. Like she's passed on. So you're saying this happened in our time, Your kids right now are doing very well. You have a good business right now that you're endeavoring to expand. This happened in this day and age, and it happened in a place that we consider, home and very liberal. What do you say to people right now who might say, well, Arlene, my kids are doing well. I have an entrepreneurial venture, and so I would like us to move forward from this conversation and talk about something else because it's not relevant. What would you say to them?
The system's not set up for our success. Yeah, I have it, sure. However, there's been barriers that I've had to overcome where other people did not, where the door was just open, mine was just like cracked, and I had to push through in order to get what I got and to be where I am. It wasn't a warm welcome, so to speak, for me to do the things that I do. And sometimes it's a first try. Sometimes I have to try three or four or five times in order to get that same thing. And so the field is not level, and it hasn't been ever in this country. And yeah, we like want to get beyond it because it's exhausting, quite frankly. But it's not something that I seek out or look for. It just things that happen, and it's like, why did that happen to me? And as they say, are you pulling the race card? No, not no, I'm not. Those
Not
things had
deliberately.
happened. And and I could say it wasn't racial. And sometimes I have to question myself, and why am I even saying that? I'm saying that because of the adversaries that say, well, let's move beyond this, let's get by that. But at the same time, I'm feeling a certain way. So
I
either
remember
ignore my
Lyndon Baines
feelings.
Johnson. He said that it's like we're at a starting line, and everyone is at the starting line, except that many of the people of color who have experienced this systemic situation are not actually starting at the starting line. They're starting way back somewhere else. And then when the gun goes off, they're expecting everyone to get to the same point, and it kind of explains why sometimes some people aren't able to get to that point. Or if we do get to that distant point, many times we're working twice as hard. And I also remember the vice president, Kamala Harris, saying that it wasn't the vice president. But anyway, I'm going to give her credit because I'm sure she would agree that it was said that they have to work twice as hard in order to accomplish the same things as many of their colleagues.
I mean, you're a black woman, Arlene.
I know, I'm just
So
trying to play devil's
yeah,
advocate here.
yeah,
Because I mean, if
I
we
hear
both
you.
agree and we both say the same thing, we have no show, right?
Understood, understood, understood.
So
Yeah.
I'm listening to some of my guests and I'm saying, okay, for those who are listening that may not be on the same page,
Got it.
why is
Yeah.
this relevant? Because I believe that it's important to infuse other people in our conversation. Some people may disagree. Well, we can talk to each other and that's what's important. But I think it's important as we have the platform to also educate some that may not be clear as to why this conversation is still relevant. And I know
Yeah.
that when we had 2020 and all of that exciting stuff, it became relevant for a time. But many of
Hmm.
those advances, as you know, corporately, that were supposedly going to be implemented, many of those have passed on. And you've written this amazing book. So I want to talk a little bit more about what your findings are and giving people some meat and potatoes in terms of the dialogue and the conversation.
Well, and I also was one of the, I don't know, some people say 300,000, some people say 600,000 Black women. I'm not saying that I was laid off because I was Black, but I'm in that demographic, right? And that happened last November. Um,
No, I was not
we
aware of that.
Yeah. That happened, and I've moved on. It's like, okay, well, that's my freedom card, right? I'm gonna build my own institution right now and not try to fit in another box, and build somebody else's legacy and wealth. I'm working
Now
on
that's
my own.
crazy. How many years have you been in the industry?
15 years in solar specific, but we
And
kind
you
of.
were a high level executive within that organization.
Mhm.
Yeah, tell the people. I know, but they don't know.
Oh no, I was with them for 7.5 years and had rose to senior director level.
Right.
There.
And what was the reason? What was the rationale?
Um, there was some funding cuts from federal grants and things that were projected for 5 years that got cut got by the new administration. So they had to make some business calls and decisions on cutting costs.
And so your cost was one of those cut.
My cut was part of that cost. Yeah. I'm
Okay.
actually I see myself on camera right now and I'm like, hey, I just said that and I smiled. So the healing has happened, right?
Well, sometimes we laugh about things not because they're funny, but because we don't really have a good alternative, because the alternative is to be distressed, depressed, sad. And so, I mean, we laugh.
That yeah, that era has passed. It happened and it kept moving beyond my body. So I only said that to say, I'm like, hey, I said that and I'm smiling. I wasn't laughing like at me or laughing at the situation, but smiling like, hey, I said that and I didn't have
Yeah.
a
I
emotional
don't know if
reaction
you're
in my body.
privy. I don't know if you're privy to my story as well, where this is several years ago, but I was a high level executive. I worked for high level elected officials, and I was recruited out of 300 people to
Wow.
run an organization. So not to, be a bottle washer, but really to run the organization. And so when the board of directors changed in that organization, they wanted their own person and they fired me. Now, executives
Hmm.
get fired every day, but
Hmm.
I was publicly fired. They put my picture on the cover of the newspaper for the area
Mm.
and across my
Hmm.
face it said fired. It was
Wow.
vile, it was unnecessary to have handled it
Wow.
that way, but it
Yeah.
was clear and devastating. And so the
Yeah.
goal was to completely have me annihilated. And I was stuck for about 3 years. My mother
Yeah.
passed away during that season.
Hmm.
And it wasn't until I found this thing called coaching and I
Hmm.
found the 10 secrets that helped me to move forward. And then I wrote the book, which became a best selling book, 10 Secrets to
Nice.
Overcoming Fear, Getting Unstuck, Living a Courageous Life, and started the business and moved to my dream location. All of this happened as a result of that.
Wow.
However,
Hmm.
if that didn't happen, I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing now. So I do
Exactly.
believe that despite the fact that high level women of color are being fired at very high rates, there is a light at the end of the tunnel, but I think it's important for us to acknowledge that that's happening
Yeah.
and that our counterparts and our supporters and our community come and realize that and begin to support that effort.
Yeah, I think, yeah, it's for you now. It's a blessing, and in the moments, and while you're in the fire, you're feeling burned, right?
Mm,
I'm physically right now in the city of Atlanta. I just completed a 3-day conference,
wonderful.
on a renewable energy conference where I met, like-minded people and professionals who are on this renewable energy frontier,
Mm,
working all aspects of it. And it was very engaging and very inspirational and a great place for me to be, not on the rebound, but in the rebuilding of who I'm gonna operate as a professional. So what point was I gonna make with that? I forgot where I was going with that one, but that you said something about letting people know and rebuilding. Yeah. So yeah, so I'm here, I'm rebuilding, I'm engaged with folks that are doing great things and meeting new opportunities that I can partake on to help build my organization and my future.
beautiful. What's been instrumental in helping you to find these?
Okay.
I'm saying, what's
I
been
still have this down
instrumental in helping you to
if you're
find
talking.
these venues and outlets and conferences, things that are
Okay, you're
helping
coming
you to
back in.
move
Yeah.
forward? Might be something that you did,
Uh-oh.
because when I went through my challenge and I was looking for an open door, I had never heard of this thing called coaching. Like now
Uh-oh.
everybody talks about coaching and there are a gazillion life coaches and business coaches, but at the time I wasn't really privy to this whole community. I
I'm
was too
gonna
busy.
move.
Okay. So what I was able to do, I think the fact that I had more time because
You're
I
breaking
wasn't
up.
going, I began to be
Uh-huh.
privy to these opportunities like life coaching, like these seminars and conferences and events. And so it's very important if you're going through this challenge, you're
Sorry,
looking for
Arlene.
an outlet. So I'm saying if you are going through this challenge yourself, perhaps you are transitioning from one job to another, or you're going through this particular, valley of being unemployed or having that kind of a challenge, it's really important for us to get on these platforms, like join a Ask Arlene Show community, join the community for Wanda Lee Fleurstein so that you can be connected. And as we connect with each other and support each other, then we're able to be lifted higher and move forward. So I think the biggest thing for me at that time was not to be alone and not to be in my silo, because when we go through these challenges, the number one thing is let's just retreat and go into a silo. I'm going to tell you some of the tips and tools that I used in order to move forward from the challenge when I was going through. So the first thing that people usually say is to be clear about what it is that you truly want to do. You have to take a minute, stop all of the madness, all of the stuff that's going on, and just, get a piece of paper, get a pen, and just like relax. Okay? And focus and see where it
Arlene,
is. But like I said, there are a lot of people who are sort of going through the valley of despair right now with the challenges and with the recent layoffs and firings, and we want to. Oh, what I was recommending is that you go off the platform, sign off, and then come back in to see if it's clearer. Okay, bye. We'll be here. And so I was suggesting that one of the things that we do is look at clarity, being clear about what it is that we want to do next, where it is that we want to go. Um, that was one of the hardest parts for me. Many people said, oh, you have to listen for the voice, you have to find that inner voice. Well, I didn't hear any voices. Okay. I just had to stop and figure out what was the closest thing to me that I could possibly do or could possibly be, and begin moving in that direction. Because the worst thing is to be stuck and be still. So there's a challenge, you want to do something different, but instead we're just there in that space in the valley of indecision. No, don't be in the valley of indecision. Let's actually begin moving forward and endeavoring to figure out what it is that we want to do, because it's better to move forward and do something new and different and be going in that
I know it
direction.
changed. It's still doing that thing. I
Okay.
don't know
Well, it's
what
better to be
changed.
moving in that direction than to not be moving in that
Can you
direction.
text me the questions
Sure, sure.
if you could hear me
One of the
okay?
things that I was asking her that I am also answering in the meantime while she's reading the text and figuring out what she's going to say is, what are some things that she did while she was endeavoring to move forward after layoff? And I said, the second thing that I did was I had to visualize myself being in that situation, in another situation, the
Okay, so
situation that
I
I thought was
am
better.
moving forward. I decided that hello. I had decided to uh, use everything that I've learned and create my own consulting organization as a 30-year HR person, and as an author also, to continue on those two paths, because and the energy, so three paths technically, because I have 15 years of solar industry experience. um Okay, because I have 15 years of solar industry experience. There's a lot of industry knowledge there that I can utilize in other organizations. And then in my 30 years of HR, I've worn various hats of HR, and the last several years have been specifically around professional development and onboarding programs. And so, and also leadership in the conversation of DEI, which I rebranded HUE, because I also call myself the humanitarian, and I spell it HUE humanitarian, to because it feels more inclusive for me to like spell human that way. um, and that's part of the work that I'm doing. And then also my authorship. Like I really enjoy writing, and because I have published that book and I have a new one that I'm dropping next month that I've been working on for a few years, this layoff kind of also gave me time to finish it. And so the new book is called Reclaiming the Jungle, which is a cautionary tale of white male superiority. So, yeah, I've been busy and reconnecting with folks that I want to in the areas that I want to move forward with, and just building myself and my organization.
Now, what you said sounds amazing, and I'm curious, what is a cautionary tale of male
Oh,
superiority?
cautionary tale of white male
Okay.
superiority. So it is while I, while I was at my former organization, and part of our research to train people on diversity, equity, and inclusion, we were taking a test called the IAT, which is implicit assessment test. I think it was researched and manufactured by Harvard and University of Virginia, University of Washington, and one other institution I'm not uh, remembering off the top of my head. But it basically rated your levels of unconscious bias. And when I took the test, I discovered that I had an affinity um, for white men, affinity bias towards white men. And I didn't understand that, given my growing up in Detroit, having six brothers, having, Black people all around me for the formidable years of my life. And I concluded in that analysis that I the TV watching was the thing that had that be an unconscious
Exactly.
affinity for myself. So the book is kind of a cautionary tale about watching and consuming so much TV and media, that we basically become what we consume. So I walk the readers through my journey of consumption, and also pull in a little bit of history and civic life to make the point. So that's what it's about.
Wonderful. What are some areas that people may be experiencing unconscious bias that we may not be privy to? And perhaps you could enlighten us and illuminate us, since this is work that you have been endeavoring to explore and exploit for several years.
Yeah, we all have unconscious bias. There was a civil rights attorney that did this Netflix documentary. Um, I want to say Jeffrey Wright. It might be Jeffrey Williams. Sometimes I uh, mix him up with someone else of a similar name. But it was Racism in America: How We Got Here was the
Mm-hmm.
documentary, and it was on Netflix for a while. And in his speaking on the show, he talked about his taking that same test, and he said that his his results said that he was afraid of Black men. So he had an unconscious fear of Black men, and so essentially he was afraid of himself.
Wow.
And so he I thought that was confirmation for me that I wasn't crazy on my programming of the media and television that occurred in my life, for an actual Black man to have unconscious bias of himself, where can he get that from? Where else would that come from? So it was funny to me. And he said he actually took the test because he thought it took it again, but he thought it couldn't be right. How can
Must
how
be
can
a
I be afraid of
mistake.
myself? Yes, exactly. So he took it a second time, and I actually had the thought to take it a second time, but I knew that I would try to game it and not actually. It wouldn't be an actual, uh, authentic test because I knew the questions now or knew what they would be like, and I would try to answer the question to not get that same result. So I didn't take it again. I just let that first result stand.
Well, I think we only have a couple minutes left for the show, but I think that's really a good point that many people may not be privy to as we're having this conversation about implicit bias and race. It is important to note that we all have bias. And that's why the test reveals it. And that's why the test is so important. So I took that test. My retirement job was supposed to
Mm,
be to just work with kids and teach because I love kids. And so I had to take that test as a teacher to determine how I was treating the students because we want obviously teachers that are going to, treat students in the best possible light. And of course, I love kids. I'm like, oh, I'm a great person. I don't have
mhm.
any bias against the kids. But when I took the test, I realized, oh, yeah, you're right. We're all subject to our community. We're all subject to the television, to the news, to the media. And so it's
Yeah,
really important, as we're closing out, if there's a message, I guess, to monitor exactly what it is that we're putting in because in our society today it's so easy to just get information that is complicit with whatever it is that you already believe. So
yeah,
because of the
those
new
echo
algorithm,
chambers. Mhm.
only things that come to you are going to be things that you agree with, things that you like, and that's not
Mhm.
real world.
Yeah,
How are we to move from the bias if we're only subject to the things that make us happy or make the choices
expand.
that we
Gotta
agree with?
expand. Just continue to expand your circle. The world is
Right.
expansive. Be expansive.
So that we
You
can get some of the realities of what's
hmm
going on. My grandmother had a saying, a man convinced against his will is of the same opinion still. So we have to be
mm.
open to, yeah, so we have to be open to truth and open to reality, which is what I think really happened in 2020. And we're really seeing, as a community, how many of those thoughts of the past are actually, being manifested today. So it was hidden, but
Reactivated.
now it's
Yeah,
coming to light.
that
So
part.
I just want to say thank you so much for spending these 30 minutes with us today, Wanda. Thanks for taking time from your conference, and hopefully we're going to come on again with you where you can actually
Yes.
hear us and we'll be better prepared so that we can have a much better interview. But thank you for your time. We do appreciate it. Thank you, our
Yes.
listeners, and thank you to our co-executive producer, Gary, and have a great week. We'll see you
Thanks,
next week.
Arlene. I appreciate you.
Thank you. Bye bye.